What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and today I want to talk to you about Tekken 8, and more importantly, more specifically, the Tekken shop. Now, if you're out of the loop, yesterday there was what's called a Tekken talk over on the official Twitch Tekken channel, where they basically had a live stream where they talked about upcoming updates and DLCs and things like that for the game, not the least of which being what was called a Tekken shop that's going to introduce cosmetics that we'll be able to purchase for characters, avatars, so on and so forth. Now, in this stream, they also touched on other things like Eddie in the season pass, and while they didn't reveal any more characters, they showed us a lot of gameplay for Eddie Gordo as well. They also mentioned that they have several planned and scheduled updates coming to the game that includes balancing to the game as well as just quality of life updates and everything like that. And there's a lot of really cool things they said. They said that the next update should be coming in late February or early March, which is when also the Tekken shop will be getting added. They're working on online training mode. They have ideas for things they want to do, such as like team battles and everything like that. So they have a lot of really cool and really dope ideas that are in the works for this game. They also touched on, people who are cheating and like the rage quitting or plugging, as the Tekken community loves calling it for some reason. But the thing I want to talk to you guys about today is the Tekken shop, because it seems like the biggest point of conversation, the hottest topic out of the entire stream that kind of has a lot of people online, their jimmies rustled, their feathers ruffled, you know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and get into it. So basically, in this next update that should be coming sometime in late February or early March, which is this month or sometime next month, so in a few weeks, they're going to be adding a Tekken shop where basically you can buy legacy costumes, avatar skins, and I guess maybe other character customization pieces to customize your characters in Tekken 8. Now, if you've been following me in my videos, you know that this is something I actually wanted to see. I am personally in favor of having the option, keyword there being option, to purchase more content for a game that I really enjoy. However, much to my surprise, there were a lot of very, very passionate people who feel the exact opposite, where they think this is predatory, this is scummy of them, so on and so forth. And so before we even get into any more of like my own personal thoughts and feelings and things that I want to talk about with you guys today, I want to ask you guys out there in the comments, what is your opinion of this? What is your opinion of the fact that they're adding the Tekken shop and just in general microtransactions and them selling these costumes and other DLC? And if you're somebody who is very much against it, could you please elaborate to me in detail as to why? Because the people who I've seen that are against this are very, very against this, and they feel very passionately about it, right? And it's interesting because I feel like everybody who's like for it or like doesn't really care is like very nonchalant, but the people who are upset about this are very, very upset about this. And I'm also streaming this live both on Twitch and YouTube right now as I record this, just so I can get some more insight from the chat as well and just kind of have a little bit of a back and forth conversation, so it's not just one side or just one perspective. I kind of want to get multiple perspectives on this, because especially as somebody who's like excited for it genuinely, I want to hear why other people aren't. So I guess with that being said, to kick things off, I actually said in like one of my recent videos that I hope that they do exactly this. They sell us costumes and everything like that. I'm most notably known for Dragon Ball FighterZ, as you guys know. And for years in the Dragon Ball FighterZ community, we begged, we pled, we got on hand and knee and looked tearfully in Arc System Works and Bandai Namco's eyes and asked, hey, can we have some DLC costumes? Could we get some extra stages? Could we get like something to spend money on to help keep the longevity of this game and make it fun and interesting and fresh and just, you know, we were begging for more. And obviously there's other things that are, you know, at stake and more important matters, like, you know, just rollback netcode actually being developed and published and put in the game. That's probably number one. And obviously people want, you know, characters and everything like that. But since day one, we've been asking for costumes in that game, and we've been saying, hey, we will gladly pay money for it. And so it's really interesting to be now in the Tekken community. And I understand that a lot of people that are very vocal about this are not like traditionally Tekken players or not like legacy Tekken players. There's a lot of new people around as well. So I don't know if it would be fair to say that, oh, the Tekken community is receiving this or treating this very differently than like the DBFZ community would. But it's interesting because this also, you know, Tekken's not the first, only, or last game to implement some sort of shop or microtransactions into the game. Every fighting game is doing it. Mortal Kombat has costumes and skins and brutalities and everything like that. And Street Fighter also has all their stuff. And well, those games haven't exactly handled the best. And I would say in comparison to those, right, that I think Tekken's probably doing the best job out of the three from what we can see so far. Another argument you can make, right? Some of these costumes that they're going to be adding, and we don't know to what extent they're adding stuff. We don't know what else is going to be added. We've seen some previews of what's going to be in that first drop, right? But like one of the costumes that's being sold to us, like with actual currency, because again, we're going to have to pay real money, is Jin's costume, Jin's Tekken 4 costume, right? Beloved by a lot of people. I'm sure it's going to sell like hotcakes. I'm going to buy it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are going to buy it. And you could make the argument that that's a little scummy because frankly, that costume was available in Tekken 7 and it was free, and now you're gonna have to pay for it. I get that, right? But I then saw people making an argument like, oh, but all these costumes were available in Tekken 7 and they're just giving us stuff, they're making us pay for stuff that was originally free. And let's slow it down. Okay, yes, there is a costume to be a little bit upset about, but then there's like Tekken Tag 2 Jun, whose costume was not available in Tekken 7 because Jun was not playable in Tekken 7. You know what I mean? And I don't think this is going to be the case of them just taking a bunch of like this. I see this like misconception people have where it's like, oh, they're just copying, pasting the assets and throwing it in Tekken 8 and then reselling it to us. Like, that's not how that works. For one, most, if not all characters have their Tekken 7 costumes in the game. Jin just didn't have his Tekken 4 costume from Tekken 7 in the game. You know what I'm saying? They're selling it. Okay, big deal. You want to be upset about that one? I get it. That makes sense, right? But that's just not how developing these games or creating these things works, where they're just like hitting Control C, Control V, and throwing a character or a costume from that game into this game. That, like, for one, these models are completely brand new and remade from scratch from what they've told us and from what you can see with your own eyes, it looks like, compared to Tekken 7. Like, these are not the same models, let alone the same clothes. You know what I'm saying? So there's more work that goes into it than just that. And I also saw people getting upset because as it pertains to Jun's costume in Tag 2, there was a modder out there who I believe made that costume, and Bandai Namco went around like kind of taking down videos and I believe sending out some copyright strikes and things of that nature, which doesn't shock me or surprise me. But I was surprised at the amount of people who were upset about that, because I mean, while I appreciate the modding community, while I have used mods in plenty of my games, and I've given credit and shout out, and I have a viewer by the name of Zeriuse who mods things for me and has made stuff, and I, you know what I'm saying, that's what's up. I appreciate that. I respect the craft. But if we're being honest, not something we're supposed to be doing. And I believe in Tekken 8 that actually breaks the user license agreement. And as a business, if they're trying to sell us these costumes, if somebody makes it and puts it out for free, then yeah, that's gonna put a, you know, a wrench in their plans and their business model. So yeah, they have frankly a right to take that down, and I understand why they would. Does it suck? Yeah, for sure. But I just feel like that makes sense. You know what I mean? You know, there's a lot of people I've seen saying things like, well, I already had to pay $70 for the game, so why should I have to pay even more money for all these costumes and for these cosmetics and everything like that? And to that I say, you don't. It's completely optional. No one's forcing you to spend more money, especially if it's for characters that you don't play, right? Most of us are not playing every character in the game. I have about 3 characters that I play right now, and I might buy some costumes for characters I even don't play just in case I want to mess around with them at some point. Because like I don't currently play Jin, but I want the Jin costume. You know what I'm saying? I'm just that type of person where if I spend a lot of time on a game, then for me, I'm perfectly okay with throwing money at it. And you know, maybe I value my dollar differently than you value yours, but I don't think that's an issue. I can choose to spend my money however you want, just the same way you can choose to not spend your money however you want. But just because you spent $70 on this game doesn't mean that there's any obligation from you or anyone else to spend more money on these costumes. And you know, I've seen other people like, oh, like all the influencers, all the YouTubers, all the streamers, they're all bootlickers and they're trying to protect Bandai Namco. Like, motherfucker, Bandai Namco don't give me a fucking cent, a dime. I don't really be getting shit from them. I have gotten some stuff from them occasionally in the past, yeah, but nigga, I came out my pocket 300 beans for the collector's edition. They ain't send me that shit. I ain't get the invite in LA to go out there to play the game early and shit. I had to wait like everybody else. I paid for that shit like everybody else, but the game was really dope and I really enjoy the gameplay and I like it a lot and I'm having fun and I play it every day and I wake up every day wanting to play it. So I'm okay with not only the money that I spent on it, but spending more for the cosmetics and things like that, because that's something that I care about and that I'm into and that I want to see in some of my other games. Now, I understand that there's like this stigma or like this negative connotation around the idea of microtransactions and like, you know, companies being evil and greedy and whatever. But I don't think all microtransactions are created equal. And again, in comparison to some of these other companies that's doing it, I just don't think it compares and is nearly as bad. And Michael Murray and Harada also went on to say that they are going to be trying to use these funds directly from stuff like this to put back into the game and develop more content, support the esports and everything like that. So it's just like, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand the idea of this, like, oh, they're just these scumbags who are lying to us and all they care about is money, and you know, all this stuff should have been in the game. It's like, I paid $70 for the game, then this stuff should have been in there from the start. And I don't know why people think that if there wasn't DLC or microtransactions, all of this content would have just been on the disc. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of whether or not something was in development beforehand or whatever ideas or plans that they had, if there just weren't microtransactions, I don't know why people think like, oh, if there weren't any microtransactions or if there wasn't DLC, we would just have better games that just have everything on disc. Like, no, what would happen is it would be like in 2002, where when you bought a game, that was it. No balance patch, no bug fixes, no extra costumes, no extra characters. What you saw is what you got, and that was the end of it, which is not healthy for a game's longevity or lifespan or the community, especially when it comes to a competitive game like this. That's not the day and age we live in anymore. And frankly, that's not the day and age that y'all want. What you think you want ain't what you really want. Them not selling us things through microtransactions or DLC wouldn't make it so that these games are just bigger and packed with more content. The extra content is in fact extra, and you just wouldn't be getting it at all. Oh, this is another thing. I've seen some crazy conspiracy theories as well, and it's like not only some conspiracy theories, but just some really interesting reactions that I don't quite understand. So I've seen a lot of people saying that like, oh, this is extremely scummy of them because they knew they were going to do this from the start, and they intentionally didn't add it into the game at launch so that more people would buy it, and so that they would get better reviews. And maybe I'm just really out of touch and out of the loop, but like with the Tekken shop's existence, would the ability to buy DLC have like that would have had some super huge negative impact on like the people reviewing the game for its gameplay? Like, if we, matter of fact, I want y'all to see something real quick. We gonna pull up Steam real quick. We gonna pull up Steam because I need y'all to see this. If it wasn't for these Steam reviews, I would have had a very hard time. And to be honest, I still have a hard time believing this, but I would not have believed that there's like thousands or potentially millions of people out there who would have been like, you know, Tekken 8 looks like a really cool game, man. Lots of dope characters. The story mode seems pretty tough. You know what I'm saying? Rewarding gameplay. Like everything looks great, but they have a shop where you can buy more costumes. I'm not really a fan of microtransactions, so I think I'm gonna hold off on this. Like, I'm sure there's a handful of people out there, but people are acting as if like there's just there's thousands of people out there that feel this way, and I can't wrap my head around it. Like, is it really that deep? Is it for real? So I want y'all to go ahead and take a look at this with me, right? So if we pull up Steam and look at some of the reviews, this is kind of baffling to me. This is kind of baffling to me. Okay, let's take a look at this review. I think publishers and developers should state their intentions to add microtransactions into a game before launch. No matter how generous the prices are, the game is already $70. Kind of insane how many people are okay with this kind of stuff. It being a good game doesn't make it acceptable for them to be adding this when some people already paid $110 expecting to get everything the first year the game has to offer. Good lord. And I just do not understand why gamers have such a ridiculous sense of entitlement to anything and everything. For the most part, like, it's a lot of people out there who just think that like they just deserve shit for free. You know what I'm saying? Right? And that inflation don't exist, cost of development doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I deserve anything and everything. And you know what I'm saying? Like I said before, just because you paid $70 for the game don't mean that anything that gets added to the game, you just get for free. I bought the collector's edition, $300. You know what I'm saying? I'm still gonna buy the cosmetics from the Tekken shop because I value it. And maybe you don't value it the same, and that's fine. But like, why are we acting like this is such an evil thing? When you bought the collector's edition or the ultimate edition or the deluxe or whatever edition of the game that you bought, whatever you bought, it said in crystal clear wording and lettering, and it said very clear print exactly what you were getting. If you bought this edition, you get the season 1 pass, you get these characters, you get this costume. If you buy this edition, all you get is the game. If you buy this edition, you get the pass, you get the characters, you get the costumes, you get the music, you get the figure, you get the cool little Jin figure, right? You know what I'm saying? This is the reason why I spent $300 on that shit, right? It tells you exactly what you were going to get. How is that misleading? How is that scummy? They told you word for word, bar for bar what to expect, and they delivered on exactly that. But because they added something else, now it's an issue? Like, I don't understand what difference it makes. And like, this is a genuine question, and maybe somebody in my chat right now can help me understand. This genuine question, for real, somebody help me understand. What difference does it make? Why does it matter if it's in there from the beginning or if they add it later? Like, actually, why does it matter? Somebody gonna have to help me understand that part. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's how I feel. But fuck, I was hoping somebody was gonna fight back, but everybody's agreeing with me. Their entitlement is showing. I feel like it's entitlement as well. But now here's what I will say. Because I did see some pushback on this, and somebody brought up a very good point. Okay, the costumes in Tekken are going to be about $4 a piece from what we saw, right? When you compare that to how Mortal Kombat is monetizing their game, which is egregious and actually way more scummy in my opinion, or when you compare it to the $10 a costume that you have to pay for in Street Fighter, $4 seems pretty fair and reasonably priced. Until you consider the idea that, you know, in some games, including like Tekken 7, right, you could get a full character for like $6, right? Like, I think Kunimitsu, you know, Marduk, Noctis, all those guys, like $5-6 got you a full character. And then not only did you get that like full character, you also got costumes along with them. Like each character in Tekken 7 has like 4 default costumes or something like that. And eventually they added more and more. But it does put something in perspective. It's like, huh, $4 for a costume versus $6 for a full character. And off the top of my head, you got me. I ain't got no argument for that. When you put it that way, I'm like, damn, that do make some sense. But when I just compare it to other niggas charging $10 for a costume, I'm like, maybe we just had it better in Tekken 7 than we realized. The phrase microtransaction gives the whole community some kind of weird PTSD, no matter how considered or well done it's made. As long as it's a microtransaction, they don't give a fuck. And that's the thing that I feel like I'm seeing a lot, is that the phrase microtransaction, or the concept, the idea of a microtransaction in any capacity, regardless of how it's handled or how it's implemented, it immediately people see red. And then a lot of people's argument I've seen is like, oh, microtransactions equals bad. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter like what they're doing with the money, what they're providing for the money that you're spending. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter how it affects the game or how good the game is outside of that. It's like, oh, this game has microtransactions, it immediately sucks. Because that's how this review comes off, right? And there's more. There's another one in here, right? Check this out. Longtime fans of Tekken, like myself, have always valued the series for its rich and freely available customization options. I don't think that's why most people have played Tekken, but sure. This tradition was a hallmark of the Tekken experience, offering players the freedom to personalize their fighters in numerous ways without extra costs. Until Tekken 7, this approach was consistent and greatly appreciated. However, with Tekken 8, there was a noticeable shift. Not really. The game launched with a surprisingly limited set of customization options, leaving many of us wondering about the change. The recent announcement from Bandai Namco about introducing microtransactions and an in-game currency for additional customization pieces has shed light on this issue. It seems the initial limitations were, by design, aimed at moving towards a pay-to-customize model. The essence of Tekken for many of us wasn't just in the combat, but also in the creative freedom it offered. I think you're definitely in the minority there. Like, I don't know anyone who has ever bought a Tekken game strictly for customization. Maybe that exists now with Tekken 8, ironically enough, because of the social media and the YouTube videos like I've created and like videos other people have created and everything like that, and Twitter. Like, maybe now that's the case. Nobody bought Tekken 5 so they could customize Devil Jin, bro. Like, that's just cap. Like, that's so disingenuous. That's so full of shit. Mind you, it's also optional. Like, y'all are not being forced to spend this money, but whatever. Moving to a model where players are expected to pay for that creativity marks a departure from what made the series so beloved. The customization is not what made Tekken loved, ever. While the need for developers to explore new revenue streams is understood, the way it's been introduced in Tekken 8 could have been handled better to maintain the franchise's integrity and its relationship with the community. Tekken stood out in the gaming world for its commitment to value and player respect. Introducing these paid elements without clear communication beforehand feels misleading and undermines the trust and loyalty of the fan base. And again, I just can't wrap my head around that. How is that misleading? How is that disingenuous? How does that undermine the trust of the fan base? I don't get it. What difference would it have made if they said it beforehand or not? Because for the people who feel this way about it, for people who are against microtransactions, right? If you think this is so scummy and so evil, you were gonna feel this way regardless. It doesn't matter if they added it after the fact or if they said it after the fact. You're gonna be upset like this either way with how passionately y'all feel about it. So what difference does it actually make? Mind you, the customization in Tekken 7 was ass. By the way, I played thousands of hours of Tekken 7. I think Tekken 8 is a step above 7. Like, there might be some limited options, but just in general, what you're able to do and the creativity I've seen far supersedes Tekken 7. And that's only going to increase, through the Tekken shop. You know what I'm saying? But this is the kicker. This is the funny part. This is the funniest part. And I've seen multiple reviews like this. After careful consideration, I've decided to keep the game, even though my first impulse was to request a refund. Mind you, this person has a whopping 7 hours on record, 5 hours at the time of review. Despite feeling cheated, I still find enjoyment in it, but I believe it's important to inform others about these changes and let them to decide for themselves. The funny part about this is that there is this reoccurring trend of people being like, I really like the game, the music is good, I really enjoyed the story mode, I'm a big fan of the gameplay, I think it's great. But they added microtransactions, so now the game sucks, and I'm requesting a refund. What? What? Are there settings where you believe microtransactions in general are predatory? I think that in a lot of scenarios, in a lot of cases, microtransactions are predatory. I don't think this is one of those, but I think particularly in games that are directly targeted towards kids, where children are the target demographic, I think that's predatory. When you're selling microtransactions directly to children, which of course are not using their own money, they're using their parents' money, but I do think that's predatory, selling it to children. But Tekken's not a game for children. You know what I mean? But more so than the setting, I think it's more so about how it's implemented, such as, in order to get this competitive advantage in this game, you need to spend money here. Or in order to get this piece, in order to complete this part of the story, you have to spend real life money here. That's predatory. You being like, hey bro, we got these costumes, they $4. If you want them, they're there. They don't really make a difference at all in terms of how the game plays or your experience, other than just like you get to see something cool. But if you wanted this there though, that's not predatory. And yeah, don't get me wrong, because like I guess to a lot of people, I just look like a Bandai Namco like dick rider, defender, whatever. Man, I tell Bandai Namco, fuck you to their face. That's not the problem. You know what I'm saying? They don't, like, I fuck with Bandai Namco. Like they have given me stuff sometimes in the past, but it's not like I have some sort of like allegiance to Bandai Namco. I talk shit about their games all the time. Did y'all see the rant I made about anime games and about Storm Connected? Like, yeah, I bought it, but again, I spent my own money on it. You know what I'm saying? I knew what I was getting into, and then it just ended up being worse than I thought. But like, I'm not opposed to criticizing Bandai Namco or Tekken if I feel that is indeed deserving. Because if you want to talk about microtransactions and talking shit, why the fuck did we have to pay for frame data in Tekken 7? We could talk shit about that. That was dumb. And granted, it came with the season pass, whatever like that. But like, realistically, that shit should have been free. There should have never been a price tag on the frame data in the game. That was fucking stupid. Y'all are dumb as fuck for that, right? I ain't got no problem calling out they bullshit or criticizing them when I feel it is indeed deserved or just. I just think this shit is stupid. I don't think it's a big deal. The Tekken shop is not that big of a problem, bro. If you want the costumes, buy them. If not, then don't. I paid for that frame data too, because of course I did. How you value your money is completely and entirely up to you. But you also can't force your opinion or your view or your perspective that all microtransactions are bad onto somebody else and tell them how they should value their dollar. Like I said in my previous comment, extra money will always make people complain because it'll always come with the argument it should have been in the game at launch, even though most times it was developed after. Here's the other thing too. Even if, because here's, bro, I see people go, like, oh, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's use our heads. This stuff was planned months in advance. This stuff was being developed before. Nigga, and? Yes, we're all aware. Yes, the DLC roadmap, they already know which 4 characters are going to be released. They don't have everything set in stone. The characters aren't all finished right now, but in terms of like the costumes that they want to create and develop, the first set of costumes, I'm sure that shit is already done. You know what I'm saying? Like this, we're not, yes, but so what? Every little piece of DLC content that they're adding to the game is not finished before the game releases. Is it in development? Do they already have the plans and the roadmap set out? And, you know what I'm saying? Already have the plan in stone? Probably. If not in stone, then most of the way there? Sure. But that doesn't mean that. So let's just keep pushing games back forever and forever and forever until every single piece of content that they have planned is just all on the disc. Except that's not ever going to fucking happen, because what would happen is the games would just release, like I said earlier, as they are, and there wouldn't be no extra content. You know what I'm saying? It's not that Eddie or whoever comes after would have been in the game if they just waited longer, or if they just want to sell DLC. No, that nigga just wouldn't be in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how that shit works. I don't understand why people think it is. Anyway, I'm personally of the belief that like not selling DLC or adding future content to your game and adding more characters and doing balance adjustments and everything like that, like I think that's a surefire way to make sure that your game dies and gets no support. And you know what? There's a tweet from Harada that I think is definitely worth mentioning here that we have to pull up and we have to read, because like it puts some things into perspective, and it touches on some things that I don't think a lot of people think about. Because like people seem to think that they're entitled to so much more for their dollar, I guess, and I don't know. While I'm looking for this tweet though, by the way, I'm thinking of some other things as well, right? There definitely are, I see both sides. Obviously, you can see which side I lean toward, right? But like, there are some legitimate arguments to be made. One of which being is like, okay, when it comes to like these in-game purchases, there's going to be a premium currency, some special business jargon. Like, again, we're not stupid. I know what the fuck. When they say premium currency, I already know what that means. That means they're gonna make me spend real money to buy their in-game money instead of using the fight money that already exists in the game. Which, by the way, why is fight money so useless? Like, it sure would be nice if we could use some of that fight money to buy some of the stuff in the Tekken shop, or if you have like 10 million fight money equals like 100 like in-game like Tekken tokens, I think that was being called. But when they say premium currency, that means costumes is gonna be $4. It's not gonna be a 1-to-1 ratio. I know, I understand the business model. It is what it is. Namco is not the first nor the last to do this. Tekken ain't gonna be the first nor the last game to do this. It just is what it is. I understand. I understand. Anyway, found the tweet that I was looking for. Shout out to a viewer in chat. Development costs are now 10 times more expensive than in the 90s, and more than double or nearly triple the cost of Tekken 7. Even the Fight Lounge servers are costly to maintain. In the past, there weren't so many specs and there wasn't online. Plus, they didn't have such high resolution and high definition. Now, so many people want the game to run and be supported for a long time. It costs money to continually update the game for that reason. However, he probably only keeps good memories of the old games he experienced as a boy and does not pay attention to these changing times and increasing costs. The economic situation and everything else is changing. If we simply do nothing as he suggests, the game will simply stop running in a few months. I think that is what he wants, so there's no point in talking to him about these realities. He wants us to stop economic activity and stop updating and supporting the game. And this is in response to, you know, people trying to meme it, leave the multi-million-dollar company alone. Like, this isn't about defending Bandai Namco. This is about me standing on an opinion that I have, where I feel like people are blowing something out of proportion that realistically isn't that big of a deal. And I think Harada makes a good point. There's an argument that people make, right, that video games are too expensive, and that the $70 price tag that now comes with a full price, like let's say current gen PS5 title, is like way too high. But when you think about it, it's like, nigga, I've been paying $60 for video games since I was a child, like since I was in elementary school. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if y'all noticed or not, $60 10, 15, 20 years ago is not the same as $60 today. The inflation is fucking ridiculous. I remember when the McDonald's dollar menu was a thing. I remember when I could get 4 Laffy Taffies for $1. I remember when a can of Pringles was like 50 cents. Have you been to Target lately? Do you know how much a fucking can of Pringles is? A can of Pringles is like $2.50, like $3 for one can. I was getting the bitches for 50 cents, $1. When the last time you walked into a store and got 4 Laffy Taffies for $1? And that shit don't happen no more. The dollar menu don't exist no more. You know why? Times have changed. Inflation happens. The economy's different. I saw some people making the arguments of like, oh, but they made this like $2 billion this year, and then like when Tekken 7 came out, they made like $1 billion in ban. Like, okay, I want you to go ahead and do the math, right? Of what $1 billion was in 2015 when Tekken 7 came out in the arcades, and what the equivalent to that is today in 2024. Matter of fact, let's do it together. Now, obviously, this is just an example, right? You got to take this one with a grain of salt, but let's just say this is the US inflation calculator, okay? So let's just say in the year 2015, or we can even say 2017, which is even shorter away, you know what I'm saying, compared to 2024, right? And we had $1 billion. Oh, hold up, it don't do the decimals for me automatically, so I got to count them out. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Do the numbers go that high? That's an extra $250 million in the last 7 years. $250 million increase, 25%. That's a big fucking difference. That's a huge difference. So the dollar spent to develop and support Tekken 7 ain't the same as the dollar spent to develop and support Tekken 8. You know what I'm saying? Games are only getting more and more expensive to develop. And they've hardly increased in price in terms of like what you have to buy, at least to get the base launch of the game. Now you can make the arguments like, oh, well, games are still more expensive because of times like this, where you have to spend all these, you have to buy these DLCs and microtransactions. It's like, no, because you can still get complete full games, and this shit is optional. This is optional. It's extra. And again, like this is just for the US. This isn't like worldwide, but just as an example, you know what I'm saying? Like this shit, man, look. And I love how people try to pocket watch Harada, right? And talk about like, well, Bandai Namco made $2 billion last year, and you spent money on like getting Carl Anthony Towns to play Tekken, and you did this commercial, and that's like, motherfucker. Oh, everybody loves to act like they know how businesses work, and I'm not gonna pretend like I'm the know-all and everything. I'm a YouTuber. I'm not. I didn't go to school for business and economy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not pretending like I have a degree in this shit either. But I just find it funny how like people pick and choose what parts of like business that makes sense and the things that they know to support their narrative, and then don't acknowledge the other parts like inflation, or the fact that the numbers that you're comparing from 10 years ago don't add up to the same numbers of today, or the fact that things are much more advanced today, you know what I'm saying, and are more expensive, and that video games haven't increased in price since the last fucking 20 years up until recently. Like when I bought, no matter of fact, when I bought Tekken 5, right? I bought Tekken 5 when that game came out. When did Tekken 5 release? Because I remember that game was $50. Tekken 5 on the PS2 was $50 when that game came out. Tekken 5 released in what, 2004? I almost said 6, 2004. Yeah, 2004. 20 years later, Tekken 8 is $70. I don't think that's a huge increase compared to other things that have probably, like, realistically, this shit should probably be a lot more expensive than it really is. But that's a whole other conversation for all other day. I think it was overdue for video games to go up in price, because it's a lot of things in life that's way more expensive now than it was before. Nigga, do you know how much money I spent the last time I went to Target? It was like $300. You know how much those groceries lasted me? Not even 2 weeks. When my parents would go to Target or to Walmart back in the day when I was a kid, them niggas would spend $300, $400, $500. Nigga, the kitchen and the pantry would be stocked for 2 months. Shit don't last 2 weeks now. It's not the same. It's not the same. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. That's enough for this video. I think the Tekken shop is cool. I'm looking forward to it. If there's costumes there that I think are dope, I'm gonna buy them. If there's costumes there that I don't want, then I ain't gonna buy them. And I see both sides, but it's just crazy to me to see like how angry people are about this. And I don't know. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments and everything. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all those content that I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, it's pretty much off today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.